Revenge films.
My name is Jessica Whiteman. I'm just an average high school student. I'm one of the more quiet students in my class, and I don't stand out. Perhaps because of that, I had become the target of the popular girls in my class, and they often bullied me. At first, they would only tease me a little bit, but little by little, the harassment started to escalate. The main perpetrator of the bullying was a girl named Karen Snyder. She was the leader of the girls in our class.
Hey Karen, how's it going with your boyfriend? Huh? Oh, it's going pretty well.
She has lots of friends, and she has a boyfriend. She was at the top of the food chain within the school. That Karen started picking on me about a month ago. Karen had invited all of the girls to karaoke, and I rejected her invitation. Ever since then, I had become Karen's enemy. She began to tell all of the other students how I rejected her invitation, and that I was an arrogant brat who didn't know their place, just because of something so small? That's what I thought, but every person would have a different reaction to it. I figured if I let it go and didn't think about it too much, that she would move on eventually.
Hey white man, go buy me a drink.
Why should I have to? In the beginning, she would lightly poke at me like this. If I kept saying no, she would eventually give up, so I didn't let her bother me too much. Why should I go buy a drink for someone that I wasn't even close with? The other problem was that she had lots of friends. They say birds of a feather flock together. So if Karen didn't like me, then that meant that they all didn't like me. Just because Karen was against me, more than half the girls in the class also looked down on me. Jessica is such a loser, isn't she?
Ugh, seriously, I know.
Girls can be so easily influenced, and together they're terrifying. If the leader says so, then that's that, and everybody follows. It's almost like a toxic company.
The reason why I didn't crumble was because of the few friends that I had.
You shouldn't let it bother you too much.
Yeah, that's right.
No matter what others would say about me, the two of them were always by my side, even if they got bullied because of it. They always stuck by my side, but it hurt me to know that my friends were being looked down upon in the class because of me. Because they were talking to me and friends with someone that she didn't like. Karen also hated them. That's just the way she was. That's why anybody that was associated with me also became an enemy in their eyes. I hated that the most. Huh? What happened to my pencil case? When I got back to the classroom, my pencil case that I left on my top desk was gone. Karen was grinning as she stared in my direction. I could only imagine this was her doing. I couldn't understand why she would do something so childish as this. Does she enjoy seeing me look distressed? I had no choice but to look for my pencil case and found it in the trash can. That's gross.
What are you picking out of the trash can? That's disgusting.
When I grabbed my pencil case out of the bin, Karen raised her voice for the entire class to hear. That must have been her objective. I took my stationery out of the case and went to go wash it at the bathroom. Luckily, my pencil case was made out of fabric, so I could easily wash it and get any dirt or smell out of it. But while I was washing my pencil case, I was so frustrated that I started to cry. Why? Why me? I found myself thinking if there was anything I could do to get back at Karen one day. Is there anything that I could do to embarrass her? If there was any way, I could make Karen get a taste of her own medicine in class. I started thinking. I thought it would be better if nobody knew what I was up to. So I went to school early and looked around the classroom for ideas. But in the end, I couldn't think of anything good. That day, we had a new seat assignment. And to make matters worse, I was placed in a seat directly next to her.
Here, trash-picking woman. I'll give you some trash.
I didn't want to lose. I didn't want to lose to someone like her, and I definitely didn't want to stop going to school because of her. That's why no matter how unbearable the bullying was, I continued to go to school. Then one day, as usual, I headed to school early to see if I could get any ideas for revenge on Karen. When I walked into the classroom, I saw my desk was plastered with staples all over. They're going to take it this far? Without thinking, I was talking to myself. As I started to rush to get my desk back to normal, I finally had a great idea. That's right! I can just trade this desk with Karen's desk. I'm pretty sure Karen went home earlier than anybody else yesterday. And usually, she was speaking loudly about her boyfriend, so she must have had a date with him after school. That's why Karen probably didn't know that my desk was like this. It must have been her minions that did it. I had also gone home straight after school yesterday, but the people that would do something like this besides Karen were her two minions. I just have to put this here. I quickly traded Karen's desk with mine. Then I left the classroom and went to hide in the bathrooms. Once everyone had gathered in the classroom, and there was a commotion about the state of the desks, I went to go get the teacher. And then, as if I was the first person to discover the desk, I went to go report it to our teacher. Mr. Brown, Karen's desk is covered in staples. It's awful. We got to the classroom.
What did you say?
Karen must have arrived at school, and she was just staring in shock at her desk. Seeing this, Mr. Brown looked at Karen and was worried.
Are you okay? Hey, everyone! Who was it that did this? Raise your hand now! This is a clear case of bullying!
As soon as the teacher said this, Karen's two minions had turned completely pale. Karen never thought that she would ever be bullied, so her ego was in shambles. She started crying on the spot, but the teacher was furious. There was no way that her minions could say that they did it, but that it was meant for someone else either. Plus, it seemed like I just arrived at school with the teacher, so I'm sure that the minions wouldn't have suspected me.
I'm disappointed in you all. I can't believe that something like this would happen in this class. You're all high school students already. What do you get out of bullying someone like you're still little kids? Listen up. You should all hear this loud and clear. That the bully is way more of a child than the bully.
It took everything in me to hide my laughter sitting next to Karen. There was definitive evidence of bullying, and the bullied was actually the former bully herself. On top of that, Karen was listening to the teacher's lecture with a distraught look on her face. The teacher continued to be extra worried about Karen. In response to that, Karen looked really awkward as she replied. Final cherry on top came at lunchtime, but one of the boys in the class said one thing.
Well, it's no surprise that she was the victim. She's been doing such shady bullying herself anyway.
I'm sure that he thought Karen wouldn't hear him, but I know she heard every word. Karen only became more pale than she already was. After that, the bullying towards me came to a complete stop. Not only that, but Karen calmed down overall and went quiet. It seemed that this incident really struck a chord. Either she thought that somebody in the class really hated her, or the lecture from the teacher hit close to home and she felt guilty. Whatever the case may be, the bullying towards me stopped, so I didn't care.
I'm so glad that Karen stopped doing anything to you.
But I guess there are other people who didn't like her and finally did something about it.
I wonder who it was, though, that had the courage.
I know, right? I wonder who it was. Actually, it was me. I would never say that, but as long as she backed down, then that was all good enough for me. I glanced over at her two minions and couldn't help but laugh. After that, the two minions tried to figure out how the desks were swapped and who was behind it. Of course, they questioned me as well, but since I arrived in the classroom after them, the minions suspected me. But I was in the clear. Karen finally understood how it felt to be bullied, and I can only hope that she'll never do something like that to anyone ever again. Especially because there are young students who commit suicide because of things like this.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.